Mhm. Welcome everyone to our student editor-in-chief guest lecture. I hope that this will not only be a good supplement for training Project 13, but also it's really cool to hear from an SR alum. And so our guest, Ofelia Montelongo, is a bilingual writer who currently teaches at George Washington University. And she's also been published in magazines like the Rumpus, and she was our editor-in-chief for issue 18 back in 2016. So welcome back, Ofelia.
Thank
Um,
you.
and to start off, can you tell us about the work that you did as the
Mhm.
editor-in-chief for issue 18?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So when and when I was asked like to come back and talk about it, it's like, okay, so I need to go to memory lane. What did I do? Because I don't know if like the job has changed or not. But I remember what I did. It was a little because it was a student editor in chief. It was a little different than just being an editor in chief, like in a normal literary magazine. So I wouldn't like read like an like submissions or anything like that. But it was more like I remember sending a newsletter. I remember like being like curator of events and kind of like being aware what was going on in the literary world in Phoenix. There was not so much like virtual events back then. I mean, everything was like in person. And I remember talking to Trish every week, and that was like super cool. And I remember also just knowing more about literally magazines because I had no idea like what happened behind the scenes. Because I have never worked in one, and I was an undergrad, so it's like like beginning to learn what was it, like what do we do. I mean, I have read them before, I have read the magazines, but I have no idea of any organization or anything. So it was a great opportunity for me to do that, to see what happens behind the scenes, right? Mhm.
Yeah, and I was talking to Trish earlier, and she did mention how things were more in person back
Mhm.
when you were doing it. Yeah, but I think one thing that's still the same is like you had to, facilitate the communication between the staff and like
Yes.
foster
Mhm.
engagement through like the
Mhm.
events you held. So can you talk about like what you did to keep up that engagement?
Mhm. So we did a virtual part. Like I remember we met like online, but I don't remember if it was Skype back then, or I don't remember exactly what platform we used. But the engagement, you mean like with the other part of the magazine? Yeah, or like.
Yeah, like what did I know you sent
Mhm.
out a newsletter. Did
Mhm.
you use email a lot? Like, did you RSVP, have everyone RSVP to events?
So I remember we did a pizza. And sorry, like my memory. I remember we did like a pizza event because we didn't know each other, and because everyone was like in a different campus, or like for example we're in Tempe, and other could be like in another, in like a different campus, right? So I remember we did like a pizza event at the beginning, and we were just trying to find like new ways, because everything it's just that I don't feel like I could say like I did anything, because everything was with Trish. So it was like a collaboration with Trish all the time. It wasn't like me doing stuff. It was just Trish and I, like working together and just making stuff happen. And I remember one of the cool things that we did is that we did the event, the final reading, like the release of the magazine at the end of the semester. And we did it at the Piper's house, which was an amazing event. I remember so that was part of the organization. So like part of the event of what we did. So that was part of the engagement um, that happened, that we communicate with other readers and the community and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people come out of SR with a lot of good, um, new skills and experiences that really helps them with the rest of their career. For you, for your journey as a writer, what do you think like your time with SR played in your journey as a writer?
So one of the good things about being like in the magazines is, again, you get to see like behind the scenes what happens, and that gives you a glimpse. It's like, because as writers, like no one really tells you anything like how to be a writer. There's not like a course to take. They just like focus on the craft and not in the business of writing, right? So one of the important things over there is like to know that what happens behind the scenes in the magazine, so you can know how to approach your own writing, right? And how to send stuff so you can start your career as a writer. So for sure, that was something really helpful. And also the networking, because I remember one of the, hold on, I just need to cough once in a while. Sorry, I'm gonna be coughing because like COVID. But one of the things I remember is like going to AWP. I have never been in AWP before, and the first time I went to AWP, it was with Superstition Review, and we were at the table. It's just a great networking opportunity, like to be at the table, and it's like I don't know anyone in this conference, just my classmates. No, they were not even my classmates. The other interns and Trish, and that's all. And that's all you needed. Like that's all I needed to start like going to AWP. Now that it's my 4th or 5th time like going to AWP, I know more people, but I know I started somewhere, like going to Superstition Review and having a table, and that gives you it gives you the opportunity to talk to other people, like, hey, I'm in Superstition Review, come apply, like send us your work. And that's a conversation started. If not, you're like, hey, I'm just a lonely writer, so being part of a magazine helps you, to build that networking, to build that community, to start somewhere, right? And I remember we went to a lot of events. We did like a dance party. We did like a lot of things there, and it was so much fun. But it was because of Superstition Review, because going to WP alone is really lonely, and it's like very awkward. And like, hello, I'm just a random person, right? So for sure, that's but if just like, hey, I'm part of Superstition Review, have you heard of us? You can always start with that and kind of talk about the magazine, and in that way. So that was like, I still appreciate that. Like I was I was just in AWP here in Philadelphia, and I was like looking for Trish. I was like, where is Superstition Review table? Because I remember we were in our first AWP, we get to like log into the social media of the magazine. And I remember we were tweeting a lot, like we take pictures of like this writer just stop by your table, and it's just using all the hashtags. So like for social media, like I learned a lot about social media as well. I mean, I was a user of social media, but how to engage, with other writers and with the community. It was very helpful for me as well to do that, to do all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and following up on what you said about networking, do you have any tips on like how writers can network? How to introduce or market yourself when you're networking?
I don't know if it's just really being a writer is awkward, because we like to be like, honestly, we like to write, and to write we have to be alone. Or I mean, I haven't met a writer that, I mean, we do some like writing together, but everyone is quiet and do their own writing, right? So, and when we get these network opportunities, or just being surrounded by other writers, we all know we're all awkward. We're all are. We have, because we're writers, we create other words. We are, there's awkwardness there. And I think we all start like feeling a little bit like anxious about, talking to other people in places that we don't know anyone. And I don't know if I have any tips or or anything. I just go for it. That will be my tip. Like, even if you have an awkward conversation with someone, it's like, okay, I mean, if it's an awkward conversation, just move on. Because it happens. I don't know if that has happened to any of you, but sometimes that, like, there's, I don't know, people like, talking in a circle, and someone there, you want to go and say hi, but there's never an opportunity just like to jump in. So you stay outside the circle. You start like, kind of laughing with the same circle. Is it only me? I don't know. So sometimes and so just be very patient with yourself, I suppose. And these things take time, and to take like to get that confidence. And it takes time. It takes time, of course. It's not like all of a sudden I'm gonna be super confident and talk to everyone here, right? It takes a lot of time. And and just know, but you have to approach people also. You have to, don't be scared of approaching people, and not be afraid of have awkward conversations, because you don't know, maybe they're not going to be awkward, they're going to be amazing conversations, but you don't know yet if you don't give yourself the chance to do it, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are great tips. Um, Yeah, and I think you probably learned a lot about, how to engage with other people through your work as the editor in chief, when you had to arrange all those events and invite all of the staff to come. And I know that after SR, besides being a writer, you also worked as a business CEO and now you're a university instructor. So, what do you think? Like, what kind of leadership skills did you take from being an editor in chief into your latest positions?
I I am not, I'm not really sure, like I'm not sure like this specific skill happened, because what happened, like my journey is, it was a little different from other journeys, because I already had a career as an accountant in finance, and I was older than everyone. So it was a little different for me in that sense. So I don't know specifically what skill exactly I had and developed, but because I have some skills and I developed a lot of them also in my writing career and with superstition review for sure. um and then the business was happening at the same time, because I was in the magazine at 2016. So the business I had, it was in 2000, I started in 2014 kind of. And for me, that the business I opened, it was a jumping point, or like a turning point for my finance career, or my, like accounting and finance career. And so I can do something else while I was, going back to school. Um, yeah, I cannot think of anything specific right now, but it's for sure of that. It kind of amplified my networking, because I met a lot of people through superstition review in at school, at the university, at ASU. Because if not, I probably it would be so much harder to know more people, more professors, just more people to talk to, and to know more about conference or other events. Because while researching events that we created, that we posted about them, like in the blog, um, I learn about other events. I learn about other, organizations. So through doing that research and learning about that, I was like, oh, I want to do that. Maybe if that wasn't required for superstition review, it kind of gave me that path to, like, oh, this thing I learned about this event, I'm gonna go because I'm interested, and then I know more people about it. Or perhaps like hold on one second. So perhaps if I'm writing about an event and I have to talk to someone in that about that event, right? So that gave me an opening with the person I will never talk about, like I wouldn't talk about before. But it's like, hey, I'm from Superstition Review. We want to post about your event. What about, tell us a little bit more, send us a picture or anything like that. And then a new person. So, and that person perhaps later on, it could become your friend. It could become someone like, hey, don't you post it about that? And it's like, yeah, totally. How was it? So, I mean, I don't know how to call that skill, but that's what happened, right? And from that, after doing that, I guess I was paying more attention about other events as well, of all the organizations that I was able to know more because of Superstition Review. So I guess being more aware of the community I was living in. And
Yeah, and something I found really cool about your journey was that you, like you said, how you had a career in business and finance before you, changed to writing with, once you started supervision review and learning more about the business of writing. So, could you share a bit about like your personal story and like how, um, how you made that decision to change in your career?
oh yeah. yeah, we'll take a little because it's not too long. I'm just gonna make it short. But I always wanted to be a writer. I'm from Mexico, so I have this accent, right? Like it's like, where is she from? Like, so I'm from Mexico and I'm from the north of Mexico, and I always wanted to be a writer. There was no question about it in my life, or there wasn't hesitation about it. I always knew that, and I always knew that I was gonna do that. But in the north, so it's a little different. Like here in the United States, you have like creative writing classes and everything. And in Mexico, I mean, now there's more opportunities for sure. There's like plenty of more stuff. But when I was growing up, it was my turn to go and be an undergrad, their opportunities were in Mexico City. So I had to move like very far away from home. And it was just not a choice for me. I was 16, 17 when I was going to, to my undergrad university, and I was just not an option for me. So I had to put that in the back burner and kind of like keep writing in secret and just study what I could, So I was good with numbers, I think so. So yeah, kind of. Not that much. They were like somewhat, but so I was good with numbers, and I was like, okay, I can do accounting and finance, and I developed that career because of that. And I did my MBA, and I came to the United States in a work visa to work in that field, and but I always, I was always a writer. So I started going to community college. I went to Scottsdale Community College for a while before going to ASU. And so I did that for a long time. So it wasn't that it was change of the career like 7 years later, but it was always there. It was not something like, oh, I'm gonna become a writer. No, it was always there. It was just always there, right? I just didn't like tell everyone, I guess, so it was very like, not a secret, but I wasn't like posting it like everywhere or like, hey, I'm a writer. So it was more like, I'm doing it on the side, but I know I want to do this for my life. I just don't know how to get there yet. And when I got the opportunity, I quit my job, and then I went as a full-time student, right? And it was a change for sure. And I didn't know anything about the market. I have no, like as many of us do when we start, So I was just a writer. I just wrote, but I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so admirable that you stuck to your dream and, made it happen after all these years. And I'm sure like throughout your diverse experiences, you probably gained a lot of, time management skills and learn how to balance your work and life. So do you have any advice about that, like how to manage time and balance your work and life?
I'm really bad at it. Just to be honest, I wish I had. I know many writers that there's like a 5 a.m. club on Twitter that they get up early and write. I have, like I know many writers that they have way more discipline than me. I am more like a mood writer, which is really bad. And I write a lot of in the metro. So I take the metro every day to go to the university I work at. So I write in the metro a lot, and I read in the metro a lot because I have like a good, like 40 minute commute. So I do that a lot there. And but I do not have a routine. Just to be honest, I could lie and tell you I do have a routine, but I do not have one. It's hard when you don't have a deadline. I'm a deadline person, and I know it's not good because I've never got, like a because I could have done so much more, if I have the discipline. But sometimes because I have done it's like from this hour to this hour, I'm gonna write. So I go sit in the computer and just nothing comes, right? So that's why I call myself that I'm a mood writer in that sense, right? That whenever I'm in the mood. But what I do is like when my deadlines come, hold on, coffee. Sorry, in my deadlines, I get stuff done that way. So for example, I was So I've been part of some fellowships that they give you, like deadlines, or part of workshops. And because I go to a lot of workshops still, and you get deadlines, like have this, short story by then. And that's why I go to a lot of workshops to get those deadlines and to get the work done. And because you need support as a writer, and that's just the honest version of me. I do not do this alone. I do not do this alone. So I've been to a lot of workshops. I still go to a lot of workshops, and that's how I get the work done. Just because I need to, you know, um, sorry, generate something new, right? And I don't do only fiction, I do nonfiction, I do poetry, and something that I've been amplifying with what I do, right? And with these workshops, I guess that would be my advice, so do what's best for you. For me, that's what works, but not because you don't have a schedule, or not because you don't have a set time. You're not a writer, you're a writer nevertheless. And we're just different people, and we're working different ways, and that's okay. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because, like you mentioned before, sometimes writing can feel really isolating, but there is a network out there, and when you reach out and collaborate with other people through workshops or whatever it is, it can be a motivating factor. Yeah, so that's a great point. That was my last question. So, um, thank you so much, Ophelia, for your time. And it's so nice to hear from an SR alum. So thank you so much for coming and talking with us today.
Oh, no problem. It's like it's every. I mean, I don't know who's gonna watch this, but it's just great. Like, just take advantage like of your time as a prestation review. There's just so many ways, so you can do it, but it's honestly depends on you if you want to do the work and if you want to be on it, because you could don't do anything. It's just like, not enjoy it, but there's so many benefits to it. And but that depends on what, and ourselves, right? So it just depends what you want to do. If you guys want to be writers, you have all the tools there, just go for it, right? But it just really depends on you, and if you want to work hard to do it. Mhm.
Totally.
Mhm.